Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Department Podcast, a special elite version of the Sports Department Podcast where myself, Stephen Clark, Justin Valentovic, and Jesse Norman, for the first time ever, are breaking down an all-elite wrestling pay-per-view, and it was this past Sunday's pay-per-view, All Out 2021. It was phenomenal pay-per-view from start to finish. Very, very good matches. We're to go through all that. There were a couple of debuts that were very, very big happened. And all around, just one of the better shows of 2021 or over the last couple of years in professional wrestling. But before we get into all that exciting, fun stuff, fellas, how you guys doing today?
I'm good. A little hot, doing some work on the old deck outside, but that's here nor there. But last night's show was actually really, really good, and I enjoyed it for not being big into AEW. And just a side note, Bleacher Report streaming service to watch this pay-per-view, a lot better than Peacock by far. Never crashed, never had a hiccup. And we are all able to watch it, no problem. So that's a very good thing for future if we decide to do it again for whatever reason. But yeah, I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah, can't complain too much. Stream was good. And I mean, that wasn't really a problem for WWE back on the network. But once we moved to Peacock, it's been pretty rough. But,
Cock's been rough. You're right.
Interested to talk about this pay-per-view.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. Like I said, this is our first time talking fully about AEW on this show. If we continue doing the wrestling recaps, which we will, it's just been a little hectic and crazy.
But summer schedule.
We'll probably start adding Dynamite. Start adding Dynamite into the wrestling recaps too, and start.
We originally used to.
We did.
You remember?
We did.
And then AEW kind of slipped off.
It did, and now WWE slipping off, especially.
Well, also
WWE slipping off.
We stopped because Clark got screwed with his cable that he didn't get TNT anymore, so he couldn't really watch it. That was really the main reason.
I still don't get TNT, but I have my ways.
Baby.
Hey. But now Dynamite, potentially, if something cool happens on Rampage, will most likely be added to the wrestling recaps in the future. So more stuff to talk about. We'll talk less about the crap on Raw and more about the better stuff on Wednesdays and Friday nights. But let's get into the main card. We're just going to stick to the main card for now, even though the pre-show match, the buy-in match, was Best Friends Jurassic Express defeated the Hardy Family Office. It was great. Not much to talk about there.
Should have been flipped with a big show match once we.
It should have, but it was just a fun opener to get the crowd ready. Jungle Boy, and he also makes an appearance at the end. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. So two fan favorites starting off the kickoff or the buy-in was very, very nice. But let's get into the main card right away. We started off with Miro defending his AEW TNT championship against Eddie Kingston, and weird choice for a first match. I thought they could have, put a little something more interesting out there to start. Moxley would have been cool just because how big of a fan favorite Moxley is, or honestly, starting off with the tag match would have been fantastic. Would have put the show on a completely different level to start, but they decided to go with Miro and Eddie Kingston, and the whole story around this match is that Miro has a weak neck and Eddie Kingston can take advantage of that, and he did for the most part. It was a story driven match, not your typical high flyers, your bigger guys who don't move around as much, but I didn't think it was that bad. It
was a good opening. It was a solid opener.
Yeah, it made Miro look good. It's slowly pushing Eddie Kingston more and more up the card. I didn't have a problem with this. I thought it was pretty good.
No, it was kind of shades of older Rusev, where he was kind of more of a not unstoppable force, but he was more of just a strong brute. So at least they're getting that, that version of Miro a little bit. And, Eddie Kingston's good. He's a fun talker. Clark, you gotta get that shirt for your fantasy team. Redeem these nuts. So that's definitely a nice little shtick there for the shirt. But it was a good match. It set the tone. It kept my attention. Like I said, I'm not the biggest AEW guy, and throughout the course of this show, I found myself actually watching it more than I do WWE shows, rather than going to Twitter, Instagram, and being sidetracked. So that's a note that I think is pretty good.
And we know you get sidetracked a lot, especially while playing video games with us. But anyways, Norman, how'd you like this match?
Yeah. It was a good opener. It was fine. Way to start things off. I think that's what I would much rather this start than the Moxley match. So
yeah,
if I had to pick an opener for this card, probably would have either been this or maybe the Battle Royale. So probably this.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then obviously, like I said, Miro got the win, kept the title. A little bit of a dirty fashion. He got the win, but what are you gonna do? He's the heel in the situation, and that's what
Is
happens with
Lana gonna
titles.
come? Do you think
I think she
Lana's
will.
gonna come?
I think she will.
I think so
Become his
too.
mouthpiece, or do you think?
I think so too. Yeah, I think they get paired
Yeah.
together. I think that'd be fine. Like it doesn't hurt anybody as long as she doesn't really step in the ring. That's okay.
I
But
don't think
no,
they'll push her into the ring the way Vince did.
no, maybe
The
have her
cons
thrown
seem
through
like
a table
whatever. Well, the
every
cons
week
just
too.
seem like you'll do whatever you feel comfortable with, and if you don't feel comfortable doing something, we're not going to force you. That just seems to be their mindset of it. There,
And a lot of their wrestlers also have mouthpiece
Yeah.
is as legends and stuff.
So it
where
works.
with WWE, the only person who gets a mouthpiece is
Roman.
literally Brock.
Or
Well,
Roman.
Roman now, but Roman still does most of his talking stuff. It's the only one over the years that's gotten a mouthpiece that worked on WWE was Brock. When Andrade couldn't learn English, instead of giving him a mouthpiece with Zelina, they broke them up and then released Andrade.
Yeah, no,
So I think
definitely.
they'll make that work. I imagine she's going to be coming soon.
That's an easy signing. It adds to, it helps. It could help Rusev defend, in another championship match. Have not Rusev, Miro. I'm calling him Rusev. That's funny.
People know the difference, so it's fine.
Of course, but that could just help. Full Gear's coming up in about 2 months from now, so you should see that happening there as he defends his title there. But no, good opener, not too bad. Into the next match of the night, which was Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima, the old man, 30-year veteran of the ring versus Jon Moxley. And this was just a typical Jon Moxley match. It was good. A lot of big moves, hard hitting moves. It's a very New Japan type match.
And they're continuing that trend afterwards because I don't know who came out, if I'm being quite honest. Exactly. It does nothing for me. So we'll probably see when we go in a few weeks. They might run something to build that towards their next.
A lot of versions of that statement. that doesn't affect you. But no, it was great.
At least they're doing stuff with them. That's
it's
newer.
good that since Moxley lost the title, that he's stayed relevant in all these other feuds, whether it's teaming up with Eddie Kingston.
Didn't he win the GCW championship this weekend or something?
Did. He beat Matt Cardona. He did, because Cardona had an open challenge, and Moxley mocked the way
appeared.
Cardona made his debut and hit the paradigm shift and whatever, and kind of beat him right then and there. And they're setting up for, I think, Moxley versus Nick Gage in Atlantic City in a month or so.
Ooh, you going?
Oh, that's deep. That's deep. Plus, I don't want to die. It's a death match. I don't want to die
in person.
So Moxley had himself a busy weekend. Yeah, winning the GCW title. Came out in the GCW hoodie too as he came to the ring. But now he beat Kojima. I thought it was a great match. It was just a good little, good pay-per-view match. Make some of the New Japan fans happy, just wrestling fans happy too. And now Suzuki coming back, which I think they're having their match on free television this Wednesday on Dynamite. Suzuki
so we're missing it by a week.
I believe so.
Yeah. So I didn't have a problem with this. Any comments on this?
Moves the thing forward and doesn't really, sidetrack anybody else. It just gives him something relevant to do.
Yeah, I think what they're doing with Moxley is good, keeping him out of the world title picture, but also still keeping him, feeling like a big deal, as opposed to, McIntyre doing the whole Jinder Mahal match at SummerSlam. And I just feel like the storylines outside of championship matches, and even within championship matches right now in AEW, are just being done better. Just quite frankly, they're just being better.
Yep, everything top to bottom is just better here right at this point in time. All right, let's continue down the card, and we have the AEW Women's Championship match, which is Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander. And obviously, Britt Baker is one of the most popular women's wrestlers, if not even wrestlers in general, on the All Elite Wrestling roster right now. And seeing her over the last couple of months and during this title reign, this was probably one of her better matches, I would say. I thought the match was very good. Chris Statler, very up and coming. She didn't need to have this win right away, but she will eventually, I think, get the title down the line. But no, I enjoyed this too. I have no complaints so far about this match. You guys?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot too. It was good. well paced, didn't drag on too long, wasn't too slow. Like you said, Baker didn't necessarily need to lose either. I think she'll probably hold it maybe to, isn't the next show in like November, give or take, something like that. So maybe she'll probably hold the belt to then, or whenever they have, the Ruby Soho match, whenever that comes to fruition, either on free TV or at a pay-per-view. So she's going to hold the belt until there at least, because I think that's the matchup they obviously want to build next.
Yeah. I think I would honestly love for them to give it as like a free match kind of thing. And then at the next pay-per-view, I would want a triple threat of Ruby Soho, Britt Baker, and then Thunder Rosa from the Battle Royal, because she finished second.
Yeah, the way they set up, it seemed like
she was fantastic.
It definitely seems like in the meantime, until we get Baker versus Soho, it's going to be Ruby and Thunder Rosa, at least for a little bit, to fill in the gaps.
Which is good with me. They had a fun little ending there to their match. So, but this was good. Clark knows I've been a big Britt Baker guy since AEW formed, and everybody was like, "Oh, their women's division doesn't have anybody," and I was like, "Yeah, give Britt Baker a year. Like, I'm telling you, she needs a year to really understand being the number one in the company, and I think she's really grown into that role." She's putting on great matches every week. People at WWE shows when Charlotte is coming out are calling for her. She's really good, and
like Clark, you said she's one of the top, women in AEW. She's probably one of the top women in wrestling in general.
Oh, in general, no.
I would probably put her 4, maybe behind Charlotte, Belair, and Becky.
Yeah, she's definitely up there. She brings a lot. Their women's division has come really far from where it started, and everybody made fun of the women's division when it first started there. Everyone was like, "Oh, you don't have anybody." Well, they have not a better women's division than WWE, but I would say a more thorough and consistent.
Remember NXT this time last year was absolutely loaded. It's getting to almost that level.
Yeah, and honestly, NXT's taking a big decline even with the women too.
I think we're gonna have to start talking about I think the NXT golden age was 2017 to 2020, and I think we're gonna need to start acknowledging that we're not in that
a reason for that
anymore.
I don't even know if I put 2020 in there. I'd put 2017 to 2019, honestly.
Was Cole Gargano trilogy in 2020?
No, it was 19.
No, that was 19.
Really? Wow. Okay. Well, then, maybe I need to go back. It might be 19.
Honestly, the Cole years were just
the Cole Gargano, Ciampa, all those.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. But no, Britt also hit the Pittsburgh Sunrise, which should have been, a little hint towards what happens later in the night. But
that move looks so great, by the way. It doesn't matter who does it. No. And everybody's always like, "Oh, there's too many big spot moves in AEW. Everybody does the same moves." And it's like, yeah, because moves hurt. No one person should be able to just do one move. Why does one person get to do a sling blade? It's it's an easy move to do. It hurts people. Everybody should do it.
Yeah.
It's like crossers in Madden.
It's I don't understand when people are like, "Oh, well, everybody on AEW does Canadian Destroyers and Sunrise." Okay, it still looks cool.
It looks awesome.
I don't care.
Bad Bunny did it at WrestleMania, and it looked awesome.
Yeah.
But no,
it's a cool move.
It is. And at the end of the day, Britt Baker remains one of the hottest things in pro wrestling. Defeated Chris Statlander by submission. Great match. And now, my match of the night. Oh, we're getting to it right now. AEW Tag Team Championship match. The Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers inside the steel cage. The Lucha Brothers had to go through the tournament to get into this match right here in the cage. I originally wanted Jurassic Express because they kind of get like Jesse
Jurassic Express.
They're my favorites, and they get disrespected way too
Their time will come. I think
it will.
We keep hoping,
but I don't think they're knocking off the Lucha Brothers, because obviously the Lucha Brothers beat the Young Bucks in this match. Because the Lucha Brothers switch back and forth between heel and face very, very often, because they're part of the Death Triangle with Pac, and and then they have the whole,
because Pentagon Jr. can go absolutely insane and have an insane death match and borderline kill somebody, and the next thing you know, he's out there hugging his family.
then they have the whole Zero Miedo,
And then he was coming out breakdancing.
Yeah, insane. Yeah, didn't even talk about that. The entrance was insane too. The live performance, a lot better than Rhea Ripley's WrestleMania live performance. But no, this match was brutal. From all the super kicks to the dive off the cage to the thumbtack Nikes to it was
cool to see, because I get with like the Young Bucks, they like to do a lot of super kicks, like that's their whole shtick. That's been their shtick, baby. Well, that's been their shtick for forever, really, since they came over here and kind of exploded. If they were gonna do it, they should have done it closer to the end. They did it kind of halfway through, and I get the point, like Pentagon and they wanted to bleed and kind of sell it and make it more brutal, and that was the easiest way to sell opening them up. But at least get it involved closer to the end, because then you had which one was it? Matt running around without a shoe on basically for an entire match.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we doing there then at that point? But because he never went back and put his other shoe on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it would look stupid if he like went back and put his other shoe on.
No, exactly.
But
that's why
also,
that's why I feel like they did it a little too early than what they should have done.
Yeah.
Also, side note, the AEW cage is a lot better than the WWE cage.
That's just what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
it's so much beautiful. Better.
A couple things with that. It like we talked about this last night in our group chat, but it goes around the entire ring. Like it doesn't stop at the apron. I like how the top is like curved out, so it looks like it actually can prevent people from not coming.
Yeah, because it comes out.
Yes, exactly.
Out and then like that. So you have
even though Brandon Cutler threw the thumbtack shoe over it, I mean, you need a cell or something to prevent that.
Just put a roof on it. But the fact it gives them a little more room on the apron to do stuff, and like we saw where Pentagon fell, to the floor, so clearly you can still get down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And they did the pile drivers on the outside too, or whatever it was. But no, this match was insane. A lot of near falls. You get a lot of that with the Bucks and all that. As much crap as I give the Bucks, they've always put on good matches. These two teams always put on good matches, no matter what the stipulation is. Any thoughts besides what I've said on this?
No, it was clearly match of the night, if we're being honest.
Oh, yeah.
And, we used to shit on Meltzer, like how he would always go anything other than WWE for, match of the year across all of professional wrestling. This is legitimately a candidate for match of the year, brand aside.
Oh, yeah. I would say it's at least best tag team match of the year, because what are you competing with? Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio versus the Usos? AEW's tag team division and the way that they do actual tag matches.
Because they care.
Yeah, because they let wrestlers who actually enjoy being tag teams and tag team wrestlers be tag teams, instead of, we have this individual guy and we have this individual guy and they're not doing anything. So let's push them together and let's give them the belts. These are like actual tag teams that want to be tag teams. As much as I love RK Bro.
Yeah.
It's forced.
Example right there.
Well, but that's like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. It's like, on paper, that looks like a stupid pairing. Like, if we're being honest.
Well, every time they come out,
it's awesome.
Great.
You hear the theme song, if you hear Taz on commentary, it's so funny sometimes when he's singing the song. They're just the appearance of them. It clicks.
AEW just does tag team and tag team wrestling so much better, and this was an example of it
because they treat all facets of each of their divisions equally as important as the other ones.
Yeah. And it was a really good match. A little brutal per se for my liking.
Yeah, that's
kind of AEW style. They're definitely more attitude era.
When Pentagon, I think, either got his face rammed into the shoe or kicked in the face in the corner, I kind of just went,
yeah.
Like, I cringed a little. Like, I don't remember the last time WWE made me tense up a little bit.
When his face was like going into it, or he was going into it, I literally was like, there's no way they're like actually putting those tacks in his face. Yeah, but then they pulled away and there was all this blood. And I was like, did they just put those tacks in his face?
And you saw Phoenix's mask like ripped too.
His mask was ripped too on the bottom left side. Like, you could literally, if you just like grabbed it like this, for Pentagon, I think it would have fully came off.
That's crazy.
Their
That's
masks
crazy.
were so ripped up.
That's so
Yeah.
crazy.
And so were their faces, basically.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But now this match was phenomenal. Bucks had a long run. What about like a year? It feels like with these titles now.
This is the first time that these teams fought in 2 years, 1-on-1 anyway.
Wow. That's
Since
crazy.
2019, they said.
Wow. But yeah, no, it was great. Lucha Brothers got the win. Finally, they won the tag titles. Great match. Great match. And now we jump into the Casino Battle Royal, and it was the women. So, you have all your suits, and then you have five.
Basically, their version of doing a Royal Rumble without being a
great idea.
an hour-long match,
but
basically.
instead of one
they grouped
person
them.
coming in, it's 5 every 3 minutes.
This was originally, I think, supposed to be on the buy-in, but because of Pac and Andrade's match, this got moved to the main card to fill a spot. Which is fine. I mean, the names were great in it. Before we get to the Joker, I mean, you had 10 out of Conti, you had the Bunny and Nyla Rose. And
it was a good way
Big
to get
Swole.
everyone else on the card, basically.
Great job. Yeah, of course, it's great. I thought it was fine. It was a little short, but then we get to the Joker card, and we have the rumored return of debut of Ruby Soho, who was the Joker, and a great ovation. She actually has a legit theme song
By Rancid. Yep. The legitimate. They're basically their best song and most known song is Ruby Soho. And I was actually reading about it. She went on a podcast with the guitarist who was a big wrestling fan, and she was saying how she wanted to keep Ruby in her name because that was originally like from the song. That's how she got Ruby Riot. She didn't want to go back to her old name because she hated it. And he's actually the one who suggested using Ruby Soho, and he gave the blessing for the theme and the name.
That's
awesome.
cool.
That's
which
awesome.
means if they ever get to a level where they have a live performance for another entrance, it would actually be good to get them to come
all in next year
lit.
or something. That'd be great. That would be great. Either all in or double or nothing or anything.
Whatever.
Something.
Dynamite.
No, it was great. It was down to Nyla Rose, Thunder Rosa, and Ruby Soho. Nyla Rose got eliminated, and then there was a nice little battle between Thunder Rosa and Ruby Soho. I didn't think Ruby was gonna win. I really didn't. But then Thunder Rosa got eliminated. Obviously, it was a good little spot on the apron there. And Ruby's the number one contender and has a future championship match against Britt Baker for the title. So that's exciting.
Yeah, no, it was good. I liked how quick it went. I love that it was like a Royal Rumble-esque thing, but it was like 20 minutes and it was over. I love the Royal Rumble, but sometimes when you're sitting there between, 10 to 20 and you're just waiting for people to come out and then like a sucky person comes out,
it's deflating.
At least with the 5 people coming out, at least one person that was like interesting came out every time.
Yeah, no, it was great. A great debut. And she won on her first night. So I'm very excited to see where this goes. And now we get into MJF versus Chris Jericho, where if Chris Jericho loses, he has to retire. And I'm going to start with the entrances with this one too, which was, you saw the Y2J countdown clock. I'm like, wow, they actually got the right.
See, when I thought they were going to do that, I thought Jericho was going to do like the different versions of him. Like, he's actually going to lose it. Then I thought he was going to retire then.
But no, MJF being the dick he is, comes out right after the countdown clock. Best heel in all of wrestling right now. MJF is so good. And then Jericho.
The countdown was to Jericho's last match, by the way.
Yeah, that was
MJF
put
put
on
on the Titantron.
The digital board said, yeah.
Right. Then Jericho came out with his Fozzy guitars, which didn't sound too hot because it was a little bit delayed. And
yeah, that was a little rough.
Rough.
That was rough.
What are you gonna do? Match was fine. A for effort. I agree. It was okay. Besides Paul White, it was one of the weaker matches, if you ask me. Just because
Jericho's old and fat.
Exactly. He's 50 years old.
Jericho's old.
He's still entertaining. He can still talk, but he's just old. Which is fine. But he's also at least not blocking people as well. Like he's doing this.
This instead of versing Omega in the main event. I agree.
If he ever does retire, he'll be great as a mouthpiece still for the Inner Circle or on commentary. So he still have a place in the company. He just won't have matches. But I like the ending, to kind of give MJF the false hope and like, oh God, like Jericho just lost on probably the stupidest way possible. But then they restarted it and then he won. And thankfully they did it quick and it didn't drag out for like another 5 minutes.
or another couple weeks, because that's what WWE likes to do. And I was like, oh, this is different. They're actually changing the decision right away.
Yeah, they would have restarted it. They would have acknowledged it on Monday night and then had a match the following week.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this also felt like a callback to what was it, the Triple H Jericho match, where Earl Hebner counted fast and then they had to restart the match, and then Triple H won, even though everybody wanted Jericho to win.
Yep.
So I think this was the way of Jericho like winning on a match restart, which I don't know if he had done before, because match restarts aren't, they don't happen very often.
No, not common at all.
But no, it was fine. Like you guys said, he's 50. Like he's a little old now, and he hasn't been in. He also has to split himself between wrestling and podcasting and the Fozzy band and January 6th and all those things. So he doesn't really have time to work out as much and stay in really good shape. So
yeah. No, you're right. MJF is just great too. Great job there. And I think this story continues just because of how it ended. Which is fine. I don't mind it continuing for a little bit. I think eventually Jericho does retire within the next calendar year from now. I would say by this time next year, he'll be on like commentary or used in a backstage role, which is fine. I think MJF still should be the one to put him down for good.
They've been doing the on again, off again feud with them for a while.
A long time. The Pinnacle.
They tend to do that
Circle.
with MJF.
Yeah.
They flip MJF to different people a lot.
Yeah, so they'll probably come back to it eventually, but no, it was great. It was fine. I'm nothing negative about it.
It was a mid-tier match. Fine. Not every single one has to be 5 stars.
There you go, Dave Meltzer. CM Punk versus Darby Allin. CM Pants, if you will, because CM Punk didn't come out in the trunks anymore. He came out in the pants. Great ovation like always.
Did you see on Twitter how much his ice cream bars are?
Yeah, $16 a pop.
$16.
Some guy bought 2 for $32.
Clark, if they're in New Jersey, Clark, are you getting one?
No.
Okay. Oh my God.
No. No. Another thing. So I commented like they were being sold. This wasn't when I found out the price. So I commented on Twitter. I was like, are these going to be sold in New Jersey? And some virgin Mark responded to me saying they're only sold at the Chicago shows. And I'm like, you could have said no.
Well, now you know.
What? Like, I don't know. I don't live in Chicago. Like, all right, whatever. But anyways,
those special made for Chicago.
Like, I don't know. But anyways, CM Pants came out. Great ovation. I thought it was awesome. It felt weird seeing him wrestle again because it's been 7 years, and for a guy who hasn't been in the ring for 7 years, he did a hell of a job, I think, with Darby Allin. Granted, Darby can probably carry a little bit because he's younger and fresher, but I thought Punk did great. The match was a little slow to start, but it did pick up very, very well towards the end.
Yeah, once Punk kind of like got his momentum going, I guess got the adrenaline flowing, it moved because for a while, yes, they were doing a lot of rest holds, but it's like, what do you expect? He got his ass kicked in the UFC 5 years ago, and then he did nothing for wrestling in 7 years. So it's like, yeah, he's going to have ring rust, but once it picked up, it showed it all came back to him, and he's able to go.
Yeah.
Will he put on like 30-minute match clinics? No. But can he do 10 to 15 minutes with someone who can carry him? Yeah. Will he be in like triple threat matches that can go longer? More than likely. But he's definitely, better than a lot of people thought, honestly. And it worked.
Yeah, I think he's going to ramp himself back up. I think he's going to start doing those long matches again. But he definitely showed that he still had it. The Darby match was good. Like it was a good return match. And Sting's the best dad.
Yeah, basically.
So we know that.
And they came out and they shook hands. So clearly, if something happens, there's Punk's allies right then and there because there's some respect.
Exactly. And Punk did all the moves. The running knee, he did a couple of go to sleep.
He did the running knee, but not the bulldog.
He did the running knee into a clothesline.
And he also did. I think he wanted to try to do it into an Irish whip at first, that he was going to throw him into the turnbuckle, but then I think they mistimed it a little. Yeah, and then he threw him through it.
Through the turnbuckle, which still looked awesome.
Yeah, which looked cool. Yeah, but I want the Shining Wizard Bulldog back.
So do I. But no, great return, great ovation. Awesome to see. It's all wet. That's the main reason we probably watched his pay-per-view to begin with.
Yep, that's why I bought it.
There you go. CM Punk won though, which is great.
Good.
And on to the crap of the night, which was Paul White versus QT Marshall.
I don't care. Should have been on Rampage. Should have been on Dynamite.
Should have been on AEW match. Dark.
It was 4 minutes too long, and it was a 4-minute match. That's my opinion on it. That's all I have to say.
It was 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It felt like 3 minutes of it was Big Show Paul White going around and slapping his chest and doing the shush sign
because he can't move.
It was stupid. He shouldn't.
Yeah, he can't move.
He shouldn't be in ring anymore. As much as a legend that he is. Nope.
Or if you want to,
or just be in tag matches and cover him.
He would be such a good legend to have in your corner because you could use the knockout punch. Like if he was the Arn Anderson helped out a heel and did the knockout punch here and there or got involved a little here and there, that would be perfect.
He should not be a wrestler.
He should not be wrestling in the ring.
I agree. 100% agree. And I'm done talking about that. Let's move on to the main event,
which was Kenny that matters.
There you go. Kenny Omega defending his title against Christian Cage. And at this part of the night, everyone's a little tired. So crowd was a little not into it as much. Plus, anticipating rumors of Bryan Danielson coming. So that was just, on the mind of everybody. So the match was good, though. I don't think it was as good as their Rampage match when Christian Cage won the Impact title from Omega. But it was still a very good match. Kenny Omega is really, really good in ring.
And I feel like they didn't have to go off the wall insane because they knew what was coming and they knew that everyone would forget the quality of the match as a whole anyway with the two names who debuted. Yeah. And we probably all knew Christian wasn't winning both belts.
Exactly. Christian not beating Omega at this point. It was very, very obvious. Omega's their top. It's their Roman Reigns. It's their top star.
It doesn't make sense for Christian Cage to take the belt off of Omega.
Especially after Christian already beat him for the Impact title just a couple weeks ago.
And Impact is home, if we're being honest, outside WWE. So
it
makes more sense for him to have that belt.
Christian should be more of an Impact guy than a AEW guy.
Agree, but match was fine. John Callis, whatever, just trying to distract Cage at one point. Couple kill switches, you got the V triggers, all that crap, good match. And it was fine. It was a fine main event. It wasn't the best match of the night. It wasn't the worst match of the night. It was just fine. But then,
I liked Omega stomping the table on top of him and breaking it. That was kind of cute. Good. I've never seen that before.
No, it was different, different stuff in AEW. Crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. But no, Kenny Omega defeated Christian by pinfall, and then of course the banged up Elite comes out, the Young Bucks, because they just went through that crazy match. Gallows and Anderson come out, or is he still Gallows?
Gallows and Anderson came down to try to screw Christian.
That's right, and then
so they were down there.
And Jurassic Express and all those guys came out, to try to help out Christian and all that. Then the lights go out, and we're like, oh boy, Bryan Danielson time. No. Not Bryan Danielson time. Adam Cole baby time. A shocker. His contract just expired the other week. And all of a sudden he's on AEW All Out right now. No one saw this coming. I would like to say nobody saw this one coming.
Well, no one saw what happened next then either.
Of course.
Little swerve.
Nobody saw. I don't think anybody saw him coming this soon.
Yes.
I thought for sure he was going. I did not think it was going to be right away.
Well, and then they got us again, where he then turned on, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, and then joined the Elite.
Joined back with the Elite, back with his buddies. And I'm so happy. I know we talked about this a little bit last night, that Cole is back in this goofy gimmick.
He can have fun again. Douchey roll.
It's awesome. Undisputed Era Cole, fantastic work. That one of my favorite factions of all time in wrestling. Undisputed Era in their prime. So good. But seeing Cole back to the way he was before he joined WWE in this goofy Elite Bullet Club role, whatever, fantastic. I think it's fantastic. But then after that little reunion and all that, Kenny Omega's trying to close out the show, and then you hear Flight of the Valkyries and Bryan Danielson comes out too. And obviously he gets the big pop. This is the one that was expected for the night. was Bryan Danielson coming out because it got moved up from the New York show because of reasons. But no, this was great. The music hit. He came out and then kind of just chased off the Elite and kind of attacked the Elite with the help of Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy.
We have our faction feud, basically.
We have probably our full gear match, I would say. This would be the Elite versus Brian Cage and the Jurassic Express, most likely. Before I get into what I think, what do you guys think about
these? Are legitimate shots across at WWE. They have, 3 of their top guys ever, basically, and they're off and running. They're officially, this is legit competition now. Like,
without a doubt.
It's no longer AEW versus NXT because they forced them out and moved to Tuesday night. This is legitimately AEW versus WWE. This is the first time. It's higher than TNA ever was. It's going to give WWE a run for their money.
And they have some competition since WCW for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, they're on the pinnacle of TNA 2010, 2011. So let's hope that they don't fumble it. They have the roster. They have the talent. They have legends. They have it all. They have,
and they balance it perfectly.
There you go. So balance, beautiful.
It's really exciting, honestly, seeing all these guys, because that you're gonna get matches that we didn't get in WWE or we didn't get enough of in WWE, like Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole,
and they'll let them do things that WWE tends to have them pull off a little bit. Like they don't let them go completely insane sometimes. So
yeah, I loved bringing Bryan Danielson out and Cole and doing Ruby Soho tonight, because you're gaining on the momentum that Punk is bringing you.
Yeah.
Don't sit on, we have Punk and he's going to get us a bunch of
build
buys.
on it.
Well, continue to build on that. If you have if WWE has a big return at the end, usually, or somebody's coming, the rest of the card can kind of be whatever. Like you're not really worried about it because you have those returns. I felt like AEW still tried to put on a pretty solid overall show. It had one of the match of the years on the card.
It did. My only thing I would suggest about this is I thought it would have been cooler if Bryan came out before Cole, because Bryan was the expected one to show up. And so you imagine Bryan showing up trying to protect Christian and then the Jurassic Express, and then they're still getting beat up. Then Cole comes out and Cole's going to help Bryan too. Then Cole just joins in on the beatdown, and that's how the show ends. I thought that would have been a little cooler, just because Cole wasn't, like we said earlier, Cole wasn't expected to show up.
I think they did want Bryan Danielson to come out looking on top, though.
Yeah,
true.
So I think that's why they did bring him out first.
No, and that's it worked too. But no, this pay-per-view was fantastic. And just quickly before we end this episode, give me a rating out of 10 for
9.5 because of the Paul White match.
Wow, 9.
It ended on a high note.
I'm going to give it an 8.8. 8.8 for me.
8.8.
I'm not going to give it the 9 because of the Paul White match. And a couple, other little, stuff whatever. 8.8 for me.
Yeah, I'll go 9. I would go 9.5 if not for Paul White.
There you go.
He really. God, if you really get rid of that match,
and you have Andrade and Pac, it's almost a 10.
Yeah.
Was that
an actual travel thing? Like what?
I think so.
Pac has a lot of travel issues, all the time.
Does. Yeah,
because I think he just loves going back to the UK, and then he keeps trying to come back, and they're like, you can't.
Yeah, he does. But that does it for this episode of the Sports Farming Podcast. Thank you guys for listening.